order was after our meeting.
Joe, can you speak up for me? I can barely hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm saying that our committee met with the Vice Chancellor and his team before the alleged directive by the Chief of Staff was made. And so no response from the university has been discussed by the Committee on Roads and Transport.
But how does this change all the efforts that have been put in by the committee earlier?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it will be very disappointing if the university capitulated at this time, because I think that the decision they have taken is a correct decision and they should go ahead with it. I don't even think that government, so to speak, has the power to direct the university. At best, it can negotiate with the university. The University of Ghana Act does not reserve any right to the president or to his chief of staff, for that matter, to give the university any instruction. No. So I don't think the university is liable or amenable to any such instruction. The university may be advised, and the decision to stop or not can only be taken by the University Council. But I'll be very disappointed if the University Council take any such decision.
I see. Thank you very much, Joe. Joe Osei-Wusu is member of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Roads and Transport. What we'll do is we'll try and get in touch with Stella Amwa, who is Director of Public Affairs at the University of Ghana, and stay a bit longer on this University of Ghana tools. I mean, after Chief of Staff Prosper Bani had mentioned that government will prefer that motoring public is not burdened by the university authorities. The universities come out to say they won't do that until the cost of building the roads have been absorbed by government. You're watching News Desk. I'll be right back. I'm glad you could stay on. Now, the New Patriotic Party will hold its 2014 annual National Delegates Conference and National Executive Elections on April 12, 2014. One individual vying for vice chairmanship position is former MPP Greater Accra Regional Chairman Sammy Crab. Now, he says the party's rank and file of the rank and file of the party must remain united, since petty wranglings within will hinder attempts to recapture power in 2016. Sammy Crab is with me here in the studio, and we'll talk to Sammy over the next few minutes. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I think for many of your delegates, they want to know what Sammy can bring aboard the NPP.
I think most of my delegates, if not all, know exactly what I've done before. I rose through the ranks. I have been with the party. I have been an officer. My last position actually was Greater Accra Regional Chair. I'm very familiar with National Executive Committee meetings, National Council meetings. As Greater Accra Regional Chairman, which is the most recent, they all remember the things I did. The focus was always on the individual, growing the individual, providing them with a lot of support so they could do their job. Because I always said that politics, all politics is local. So my focus has always been on how to strengthen members of the party so that they can deliver victory to the party. So,
every aspirant to have spoken to seems to have the same idea. Let's strengthen the party. Let's unite the party. Yeah. How do you hope to do that?
Well, basically, strengthening the party really means that we need to be looking at certain crucial aspects of the party. For example, financing. I've always said that, you know, you have to wait election year, a couple of months to election before a flag bearer comes in and brings in money. It makes it very difficult for us to do the things that are important and do them very early. So we need to look at our party financing, the strategy. How do we do it? Focusing more on cash flows, having cash every day to take care of the daily and monthly expenses that come. That's how you build and strengthen an organization. So everybody knows the way I have run the party. Everybody knows what I've always advocated, and it's quite unique. And I've also advocated and really pushed for the use of enterprises, using our brand and our franchise to draw monies to take care of our party people. So my message is very, very unique. I had this message 4 years ago. It's more relevant now. And as I've been around, I have reminded people. They have understood that if we had implemented some of those things in the past, we wouldn't be where we are today.
So your party does have some strength and financing issues?
Well, basically, I guess, stranger to these things, and there are a lot of things going back and forth. And I'm not looking at capital gains. My emphasis is on cash flow, because activities that lead to win an election don't start 4 months to the election. It starts from now. You need to be going out there, you need to be financing, you need to be doing things and even planning. To really plan and plan very well, you need to have money today, not 4 months to an election. To really train polling station agents so that they will do their work effectively means you have to start today. You have to start going out there, recruiting, training, retraining, sieving them out and preparing them for the crucial day. And even getting party executives. We elect party executives to their positions, but we don't really focus on helping them or strengthening them to do their work. As Greater Accra Regional Chairman, I did a lot of that. For about a whole year, I brought in the professor from Gimpa to teach my newly elected executives how to really manage finance, how to deal with human beings, know who they are, what they've been elected for, understand their job descriptions so that they don't fall over each other. And so these are the things. Is that
something the party lacks?
Well, basically, as an institution, as in any institution, like even Parliament, I guess once somebody is elected to Parliament, immediately they begin to give the person a lot of training, retraining, but we don't do these things in our political party settings. And I've also always looked at a political party as an institution where we nurture people for government. So it's very important that we begin to teach them things that they would be expected to do and deliver when they transition into government. We hardly do that in political party settings, but we did that in Greater Accra, and I intend to strive to spread it all through the various regions.
I see. One of your ways you hope to deal with the cash flow issues is to create party-owned businesses, such as the Patriotic Insurance Company.
Yes.
You want to start running businesses now?
Well, basically, the Political Party Act kind of encourages us to do that. Enterprises, the paraphernalia, all of those things are enterprises. What I'm saying here is that this is a party that took Ghana from HIPIC to middle income status. We have the men, we have the brains. It's important that we begin to speak out and let everybody know that when you are made a leader, your job is, among other things, to make sure that the franchise itself is developed. Say, take us from our HIPIC and take us to our middle income. And if we have an amazing brand and a franchise like that, people will say, well, if you do that, it becomes partisan. But I don't know of any business that can boast or will not be happy if it gets about 50% of the market share. If we have it, we need to use it. And I was kind of proposing that we look at an insurance company for many reasons, whether you like it or not. If you have a vehicle, you have to insure it. So it's not a matter of whether you insure it or not, but it's where you do insure it. And I believe that just like the Catholics have quick and the Methodists have done well, if we depend on our fellowship, our membership, those who vote for us, and have them begin to bring their vehicles to us as Patriotic Insurance, there are so many things that we can derive from these, quite apart from the capital that we will raise to invest in businesses and create opportunities for our people, even when we are not in government. It also creates job opportunities for our people, because insurance companies actually use agents, and then they also use insurance brokers. On the offices, we can co-locate. There's so much that we can do out of having an insurance company. So that is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at us using a brand and a franchise to help our people and take care of our people, so that we won't go into government, with a burden of trying very hard, using incumbency to try and take care
over
of
the
foot
years.
soldiers.
That's what has happened.
Well, it does. The pressure comes.
Let me put it this way: you have used your office to fund some of your party activities.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying here is the pressure comes, and if you want to lessen that pressure, then it's very important that you use your franchise, you use your brand. You exercise your duty of care as an organization. I know of many organizations that have never been in government before and may never even be in government, churches. They exercise their duty of care. So I don't see why political parties can't also, using their brand exercise their duty of care, so that it lessens the tendency of people thinking that you come into government and so you have to dip your hand in government coffers. It puts a lot of pressure,
but
and it creates friction. Well, it
because
does.
after every election, we are told how bankrupt the nation is.
Well, basically, I don't know whether you can link that directly to help that people give. You know, one of the reasons why in our party a lot of people are not really big fans of President Kufuor is because he resisted such attempts. He never did. So people within the party have, but no matter what we do, these are people who worked very hard for the party to get where it is. So the party needs to find a way of making sure that their needs are met, because that is what motivation is all about. You assuring me that as I help you achieve your objective, my basic needs are going to be met. Then I'll go out there and fight for you. Because there are many people who are hanging on, knowing that this is what they have, giving all their all. We can't, like President Kufuor did, help them or dip our hands in government coffers. But as Greater Accra Regional Chairman, if you go through what I did, over 4 years I found about 1,000 jobs for people outside of government. We brought in many enterprises, vehicles for taxis, car washing machines. I focused on the individuals. So if you came into the regional office when I was regional chairman, you realized that we had an employment resource center. It was at the heart of our operations. And we trained people in computer skills and retrained people so they could even rise within the organization, stand on their own, for free. And this is what the focus really is for me. We can expand that across the country, and that will actually help us going forward. And I believe that we must, if we want to have cash flows and resolve these things and plan long term, we need to be looking at our franchise.
There have been concerns about the fact that when a particular company or corporate body is not political party aligned, especially when you're aligned to the wrong side, that is, you are not in your party is not in office, the company is destined for collapse. And I'm wondering, should the MPP start this patriotic insurance company? What happens when you are not in power? Is that not something that has crossed
we're not going to
Sammy's
be in power.
mind?
We're only doing this because we are not in power. It's not because you are in power. It's because we're not in power. It's because we have nobody to rely. Maybe people will not even come and help you out because you're not in power. You may not be able to raise a lot of money from outside. So you're actually relying on your fellowship. And that's nothing to do with government. I am an MPP guy. The government does not fill my tank. It doesn't give me money to pay my insurance. But I willingly transfer my insurance from wherever I am to patriotic insurance. It has nothing to do with government. And that is why we are strongly advocating it, using your brand and then the people who follow you to raise the money. And it's not about capital gains, bringing it 4 months to an election. It's about cash flow, like this institution is run. It's about having money all of the time to take care of daily, monthly expenses. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm saying this because we are not in government.
I understand, but maybe I'm not sure I put my concern across too well. Yet to the ground, people always say that, look, if you're a corporate body and you're not aligned to the government or the party in office, the likelihood that your company won't do too well in that particular tenure is high. In the event that MPP kiss the ground, is not able to get in 2016, and yet you have started your patriotic insurance company, the concern is that how would it thrive? Yes, you have the followership, but people always fear that if you don't align to the party in office, some obstacles will be put in your way so that your company does not move on.
Well, you see,
it looks like that's a trick.
Yeah,
parties in office always play.
If you rely on government for business, then whenever government coughs, you also catch a cold, sneezes. But we're not going to rely on government. We're going to rely on our followers, our members, our supporters, our sympathizers. It has nothing whatsoever to do with government. Maybe government will regulate the licenses. I don't really think that any government worth its salt would go out there trying to pull down businesses. Like Abraham Lincoln said, you cannot build by tearing down. I don't believe in the philosophy of going out there to tear things. I know people do. And the tendency is that bring down the guy, collapse the guy so he doesn't finance his political party. It is all wrong. It doesn't get you anywhere. You cannot build by tearing down. I understand exactly what you're talking about. But look, if you're a capitalist, you always find ways around these things. And I really believe that you don't really, as a solid businessman, creating an institution like yours, you don't really rely on government to generate your revenue and run around and fulfill your obligations. You know, I mean, even management to your employees. And that's exactly what I'm proposing, that government cannot touch that. Yes, government has an overreach, regulatory and otherwise. However, I don't even see the reason why, if somebody is putting up an enterprise, I think government should even benchmark from what we are trying to do. They should learn this political party financing. This is something that every single party should be looking at doing. If the current government did this, I don't think there'll be people out there waving flags and cutlasses and things, closing down offices and asking for their own. They'll be well taken care of through the enterprise.
I see.
Yeah, so this, I don't think, will be anything that government can touch. I understand that when your business largely depends on government and government changes, even though even government, sometimes your business largely depends on a particular minister. He's even shuffled. You get into all kinds of problems. But I believe that Ghanaians should move away from directly dealing with government connections and into building serious assets that will even survive them in generations to come.
How lucrative will insurance be for the NPP? I understand you want to bank on your followership, but at the end of the day, here in the country, we've always had the problem of insurance companies not being innovative enough to capture the uninsured in the country. But you are hoping that your followership will just follow you like that.
Well, I'm not hoping. I know one, because I'm an NPP guy and I've been in politics and I have enough passion. I know a lot of people too have a lot of passion out there. So I know. I'm not hoping. Like I said earlier, I'm looking at the insurance company because by law you have to insure if you have a vehicle. So it's not a matter of whether I'm going to buy the product or not. It is a matter of which insurance company I insure with. And me sitting down here knowing how passionate our followers are. If you had an insurance company A and you had a patriotic insurance company here, trust me, I will just transfer my insurance in seconds. So I'm not hoping. I know it's going to happen. I know that's the surest way to actually bring in one of the strongest way. That's not the only proposal I made, but one of the strongest and surest way to make sure that not only do we have the revenues coming in, but we build the capital base we need to also go out there and create more opportunities for the larger Ghanaian community as well.
Another issue as a national executive you may have to deal with is unity. You have also called for absolute unity.
Yes.
But what is that? How would you manage that?
Well, basically, I'm not deluding myself. I would really, really love for everyone to love each other. Like people within NPP loving and hugging each other and sharing jokes and having a drink here and there. Right. However, it is not possible. So what I've been looking at and I look at is what we call unity of purpose. People rising above pettiness and coming together because it is in our interest or even their individual interest to come together. You see, nature's first law is self-preservation. Everybody has an interest, and I'm sure you come here this morning and every morning because you are very sure that your very basic needs and interests will be met. If this institution failed or cannot pay you, for example, that is meeting your needs, it's very likely that you're not going to be motivated to come here. If somebody says, oh, come and help me do something on the side, I think you would want to do some small business on the side so you can supplement, because you're not too sure whether this institution can take care of your basic needs as you help it, produce this amazing program. So it is with a political party. When people join the political party, they have their needs and aspirations. They are very varied. So as a leader, it's important that you identify what all these needs really are and assure them that it will be met. You align the what they call interests together and you get unity. Even enemies have been known to unite. Let me give an example. During the Second World War, we read, I wasn't there, you were in there, of course. We read that there was a man called Roosevelt. He was President of the United States, and we had Churchill, UK, and then he had Stalin. These guys were not friends. Actually, they were on opposing sides. However, when Hitler threatened the world, even these enemies came together. They came together not because they loved each other, but they came together because it was a matter of survival. So, If we think we can bring people together, let them smile, shake hands, hug each other, and get unity in the party, then we are making a big mistake. If we think we can eliminate factions, then we are in serious trouble, because factions in themselves are not wrong. You know, it is when people begin to be sycophantic, that is called to worship, follow individuals, then you do have a problem. Encourage factions. There is unity in diversity. Let people have different ideas. In any political party, there's a spectrum. You have people right from the to the extreme right of the philosophy, and to the extreme left of the philosophy. Some people are in the middle. By all means, encourage factions based upon ideas. But let us not encourage factions based upon personalities. That's what you want to avoid. And if you want to avoid that, then make sure that the institution itself is strong enough to reward. When you make it strong enough to reward, people will rise above everything, every difference, and make sure that they help the institution achieve its objective, because it's in their personal interest to do so. So that's what I'm advocating all the time. And when I was regional chairman, I did unite people behind documents and behind agendas, like the one member, one vote. Not because they liked each other, but because I positioned things such that they realized that it was in their absolute interest, personal interest, to push the agenda. So all differences, you know, were pushed aside, and people united. That's what we should be looking for. By going out there, having people talk, hug each other, and shake each other, it's not going to work. And that is the difference between what I'm advocating and then what probably a lot of other people are advocating. So unity in purpose is what I'm pushing for.
I see. And you're hoping you empower the grassroots through that?
Through what, please?
You in your bid for that absolute unity, you want to empower the grassroots?
Yes, I want to assure. It's Maslow. It's a basic management concept, human resource. It says that everybody there's a hierarchy of needs. I need to make sure that I understand what the lowest person needs, and I build the institution such that that institution can, you know, assure that lowest person, the foot soldier, that his or her desires and aspirations will be met as they help the MPP reach out there, gain power, and govern. You know, that is what we intend to do. It's a complex science, but there's a very simple principle that if you follow, and I have followed that. I mean, I've followed that in my businesses, and it's worked. And the political party is essentially a business as well, with human beings. So once you understand that principle, employ experts who understand that, then you begin to do things like enterprises, finding ways to use the brand, being able to reward your people, finance every activity within the party. Don't let them go out there following individuals before they can actually do basic functions that they've been elected to do. Hopefully, all these things will come together to make the party very strong. Remember, he who pays the piper will always call the tune. So if the party is made to pay the piper, the party then, when it plays the pipe, the people will follow. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
So, I mean, what are your real chances in the race?
Well, I'm very confident. I am very confident. A lot of people remember what I have done. And especially, so 4 years ago, I did talk about these basic things. And you know where we are right now. People all over the place trying to fund things that are becoming a little elusive. If we had started a long time ago, you know, there's no way we'll be in the position in which we are now.
What's that position?
Well, basically, we are here right now. We are raising monies to get the Congress going through. If we had maybe the one member, one vote, where we'll make it possible for every member of the party of good standing to pay, say, even a Cedi, a man to vote parliamentary, to vote presidential. We have the systems. Right now, the systems and the platforms are there to collect the money from everywhere. In 2004, I did use these systems to help the party raise money. So if you're able to bring in $1 million a month, and you distribute 1,000 to every constituency for them to manage their affairs, and 5,000 for every regional office, I mean, even you have an excess of about 675,000 Ghana cedis. So about 2 months, 3 months, what is 1 million Ghana cedis? The brand is strong enough. This is a brand that can call people to go out there and give their lives. It is stronger than Coca-Cola. So if Coca-Cola can make
it is stronger than Coca-Cola?
Absolutely, than any brand I build. I build brands, I build companies, and the amount of money we spend in making people aware and then getting people to even want to try and then hook people on and get repeat users. It's so much. And you have a brand that people are willing to go out there and die for. You know, and if Coca-Cola can attract people to give money to it in exchange for that pleasure, can you imagine if it's well positioned and people are assured how this serious brand can get people to also move funding towards it? Not too much. You don't do that. Make it easy for people to board. Don't let them pay too much to get their ID cards. Let them board. Let them pay a little bit of money over a long period of time, and then just focus on cash flows. We can easily raise 3 million Ghana cedis a month. And I'm not talking about something, it's not utopian, because in 2012, I was the vice chairman of the finance committee for Greater Accra, and I used these systems to raise a lot of money for the party and for individual contestants.
And you're sure you still get that in the kind of economic time we live in?
Oh, and that's the beauty of these systems, because it's virtual. And one member, one vote. Every card-bearing member of the party of good standing in Ghana without Ghana can vote. So even if the Ghanaian economy is going south, as it is going, the American economy is seeing the light of day, the UK economy. All of these people outside of this country will be able to contribute, because the systems to collect these monies from wherever they are, even under the Siberian snow, is available. So that's what I'm talking about, and that's what is important. So even if people are having a hard time in Ghana, you know that you can cross-subsidize whatever deficits you have in Ghana with income coming from everywhere in the world. And that's what I'm talking about.
So if you don't get to be vice chairman of the NPP?
Well, I would be. I'm very confident that I will be a vice chairman of the NPP. I'm very confident, and you can try the post. But I get where you're coming from. Well, I've always helped. I've always supported the party in many, many, many ways from wherever I have sat. With my time, my funds, my everything. You know, so I will always be a member of the party and support the party. But you see, ideas are one thing. A professor of mine one day told me that when you have an idea in your head, remember that there are a zillion people out there who have the same idea. It's first to market. It's the ability to implement the things that are in your head. So it's not about just talking. It's about a person's track record, his ability to show that. In private commerce, in business, private, I think I have shown that when I say something, I do it. And I can benchmark from the business world into the political party setting and still drive things that are there. And I'm based upon that. Yeah.
When we return, there are a couple of questions just before we wrap up from our viewers on Facebook. I'll need you to answer, and then we'll wrap up on the conversation. Don't go, I'll be right back. I'm glad you could stay on. Sami Krab is still here with us. Sami Krab is the former Greater Accra chairman of the NPP, and now he's vying for the national vice chairman of the party. And I was telling you that we have a couple of questions. Kwesi Abrayeboa is asking Sami, why do you have to be vice chairman of the party? I know you've said a number of things already, but give Kwesi a summary.
I don't have to be vice chairman of the party. It's not like I have to be, otherwise my life will end. No, so the use of the word hard, no, I don't have to be. But I think Kwesi will appreciate that if you start from the polling station, I call it wards at a time, and the party nurtures you, and you go all the way to become a regional chairman, a member of the National Council, National Executive Committee, then I guess going up to be a vice chairman of the party is just a natural progression. And I don't think the party would want to miss out on all the investments they've made in me. You know, because it's very important. You nurture and groom people so they help you perpetuate your existence. So it's just a natural thing to go. Plus, I think I have a track record to show that any time I was given the opportunity to serve, I served very, very, very well. And I'm asking for the opportunity to serve at a higher level and then help the party to be able to implement certain things. So I guess that is why I would want to, but I don't have to.
I see. Bonty Benjamin also on Facebook is asking you what role you played for the party in 2012 that makes you the best among your contenders.
But I guess it doesn't have to be a particular role you play in a particular election that has to make you the best. I think it has to do with what you've done in the past and your ability to resolve issues. And then we have contemporary issues right ahead on the table. These are very current issues, whether you have what it takes to resolve issues. Because as we even resolve the issues that we all know, others are also going to come up. of course. As you peel, then you get into more. So that's what you should be looking at. In 2012, though, I was the vice chairman for the finance committee, and I guess when you go to Greater Accra, that is the reason why the regional chairman himself endorsed me personally. I think in his endorsement, he did state these things. I was also the chairman of the Strategic Planning and Elections Committee in Greater Accra. So all the training, we designed the training, and I personally actually trained across the region, in many things. And we all know that Greater Accra had the highest increase, throughout the country of all the MPP regional offices. I don't want to demean anyone or say nobody did try, but I'm saying that we did well, and that is the reason why you see that the Greater Accra regional executives are solidly behind me. Even yesterday when I filed, the executives were with me, just so to make a strong statement that this is our man, this man has been with us, and even when he wasn't an officer, he was there with us. He raised the funds that we needed with the things that he's talking about. And then he also did help us put together the strategies that we need. And personally, used this time to train people. That was in 2012. But I've been in the party for a very, very, very long time.
Right, Sammy, all the best in your bid for the position of vice chairman of the MPP. Come April 12 in Tamale. Hopefully you'll be told some good news.
Yes, and I'll call you to give you the good news.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Sammy. Sammy Crab is aspiring for the vice chairmanship position of the NPP, and he's a former Greater Accra chairman of the party as well. Some of you have been sending in your comments on the University of Ghana and its bid to not stop collecting the tolls until government is able to absorb the cost of the road. Willie Moore says, so what will happen to the monies they have already collected? And Aminu Yaro is asking, where is the money? They should give us a break. Bonti is saying, I agree with the university authorities. Government should walk the talk. Slim Pediatrician says, what of the developmental levy students have been paying? You see, the vice-chancellors and the principals, coupled with the headmasters, are the most corrupt people ever. Really? You collect developmental levies, yet demand money from the government. That's according to Slim Pediatrician. Kojo Ankuma says, are they higher than government? Kojo, it's an autonomous body if you're not aware. Why is it that, what is this country turning into? I miss the SRC executives in my days. These authorities would be begging by now. I'm not sure what you mean, but those days are long gone. Thank you very much all the same for your comments. Let's talk about the Cedi depreciation measures the Bank of Ghana has put in place and the fact that Fitch has been commenting on it. Fitch is a ratings agency, and it says the massive interest rate hike and new foreign exchange controls by the Bank of Ghana alone may prove inadequate to stop the free fall of the Ghana cedi. The Bank of Ghana last week increased the policy rate by 200 basis points. It means that it went from 16% to 18% and introduced a series of measures to stabilize the local currency. These measures include restrictions on foreign currency denominated loans, repatriation of export proceeds, margin accounts for import bills, and revised operating procedures for foreign exchange bureaus, and halting the use of dollars for local transactions. But Fitch says all these measures must be completed quickly with programs to address the rising public debt and government's expenditure. According to the ratings agency, these additional measures would address growing domestic macroeconomic imbalances, which have contributed largely to the cedi's depreciation. John Gachi is a financial analyst and lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School. He's joined us over the telephone. Hello, John.
Hello.
Fitch is speaking again. It says that the measures by the Bank of Ghana are inadequate to arrest the cedi fall for too long. It's noted that we need additional measures such as addressing the growing domestic macroeconomic imbalances. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think Fitch is not saying anything different from what we know and what we have been saying. I think the Bank of Ghana, after reading out the directive, even indicated the additional measures which the government of Ghana ought to take in order to bring about long-term stability of the currency. They talk about the macroeconomic activities which are not in the domain of the Bank of Ghana. For example, it is not the duty of the Bank of Ghana to ensure that import reduces and export is well diversified. That is something that the managers of the economy ought to do. So we are aware of what it is saying. So that is in the right direction. But we also need to decompose what the deficit is all about. The deficit is about over-expenditure with respect to goods and services. And goods and services is all about office equipment and some logistics that are needed for public and civil servants to use for their operations, computers, etc. Issue of energy subsidy and the issue of wage bill. But you will realize clearly that a chunk of the issues relating to deficit is also about import. The goods and services are largely imported. The issue about the energy is largely about import in terms of and then refined products. So if Fitch is talking about dealing with the issue of deficit, for me it's largely about dealing with the issue of import and export situation in the country. And I think Fitch must understand, and all of us must understand that cannot, under this circumstance, be done in a very short period of time. So I agree with Fitch, but I also believe that those issues that Fitch is raising, they are long-term measures that ought to be taken. The measures the Bank of Ghana has taken, they are measures that will actually stem in the dollar depreciation in the very short term.
Like you're saying, in the long term, we hope to correct some of these macroeconomic imbalances which stem from our high imports and exports that do not balance those imports. And
well,
over the years,
I want to relate the issue of deficit to importation, because as I said earlier on, the things outlined in the budget to be the main cause of the deficit, they are all import activities. So if we want to correct the imbalances in the economy, it's about how to address the shortfall or the gap in our current account. And that is about, dealing with imports, controlling our level of imports, and dealing with our exports. So that is what I understand the situation.
Absolutely, John. And over the years, we've spoken about how to deal with the situation, but we've not managed to curtail it. What should we do? What are the salient and critical things that we need to do?
Well, it is very clear to us what we ought to do. Our demand for foreign currencies is actually demand for foreign goods. So the critical thing to do is we need to put in place the policies that would drive export diversification and at the same time drive home the consumption of made-in-Ghana items. When I say consumption of made-in-Ghana items, I'm not only referring to consumables. Go to the construction industry. All the materials they use for the construction industry, are they made in Ghana or they are imported? Definitely, they are all imported. But the question is, do we have the capability of manufacturing or putting in place some of the materials that are used in the construction industry? The answer is yes. Don't we have pozzolana cement in Ghana? How are we patronizing it? Is government integrating that into its contract to contractors in the country? Are we utilizing the vast amount of rich findings in terms of material that we can use in our building industry with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology? Are we using that? These are the things I'm referring to. So if we can put in place in policy that we can implement, within the medium to long term, we should be able to overcome this excessive importation.
John, it looks like it will take a long time to come, because if we are cutting down on those imports, then we need to be producing those things ourselves.
That is exactly what I'm saying. If somebody tells you that this issue about bringing about strength to the currency is a short-term approach, the person is not telling us the truth. The truth is that it's a long-term thing that we need to start doing seriously. Of course, I must also indicate that over the past few years, we have increased our export. It does not mean that our export has not been diversified, but the extent of diversification and the penetration into new markets have been very slow, while the increase in importation and diversification in terms of import consumption has increased more than what happens in the export. So we need to beef up our efforts to ensure that we achieve what we need to do in order to control the situation.
John, my question...
And the point we need to make again is that, you see, the effect of the foreign exchange depreciation on other macroeconomic factors are very, very crucial and very fast. So if you want to correct the macroeconomic fundamentals and you do not deal with the issue of the current account deficit and how we should ensure that the inflow through the portfolio investment in the country is also consistent and is not shaky, then we will not achieve anything. The issue is about the currency. If the currency depreciates, it distorts all other macroeconomic variables. So we need to focus on what is causing the distortion in the currency, the strength of the currency.
So, John, what is the possibility?
Nobody
can
just go and control deficit. That is true. But the main issue is the currency. Even if you bring the deficit to 6% of GDP and you continue the level of import, the level of the gap in the current account deficit keep on widening, you cannot control the macroeconomic environment.
Of course, deficit in itself is not exactly a bad thing. But, John, the question I was asking is, what is the possibility of us consuming our own goods when these industries we have are all dead and gone? How do we go about it?
That is why we get it wrong. There are some sectors of the economy which are still vibrant. It is because we have decided not to consume them. We can focus on those ones. I have just directed your mind to the building industry. Do you want to tell us that we don't know what bamboo can do to us? Do we want to say that we don't know what all the research findings in the Building Research Institute at Tech can do for us? We know all this, so we need to now integrate those things into our national policy so that consumption will come as a result of government contracts, etc. We can start from there.
I see. Let's move away from this a bit and then talk about the fact that the prime rate has gone up 200 basis points. Should we expect interest rates to rise anytime soon?
Well, the way the Ghanaian financial industry behaves, it has given them some signal that they should prepare to change their base rate. But the truth of the matter is that when the base rate or the prime rate goes down, the financial institutions have excuses to give for which they don't actually reduce the interest rate. They tell you that there are other more important factors driving how they price their interest rate. So what has changed that if you have a 2% increase, even though financially that is huge, but that drives the level of interest rate when at other times when there is a downward trend in the policy rate, that does not trigger a downward trend in the lending rate in the country. So if you are looking at the policy rate, you must also look at the way the financial institutions are even operating. Is there transparency in pricing their loans? Those are the things we should be looking at. We shouldn't be proud of a financial industry where when the policy rate goes down, they say it is of no significance to them. But when it goes up, it becomes a significant factor. These are the things we should be considering.
These financial institutions have also always blamed the treasuries for the way they also price their loans. But government has done was come down on the treasuries a bit, but still these loans are high. In Kenya, for instance, when loan interests were going up, government decided to ditch domestic borrowing and borrow long-term and sell long-term euro bonds instead to generate funds for itself, and hence it reduced Kenya's lending rates from these financial institutions. In our own case, is that something we could adopt?
I think we have started, as a country, we have issued a number of euro bonds already, and this year, I think preparations are underway, except that this financial situation could make us go to the market to get these loans at higher cost. So in Ghana, that has started operating already. If we issue about the 7 or 10-year bond that they are planned to do this year, then clearly government is focused to longer-term financing than it used to be in the future. But as I said earlier on, there are other imperfections in the financial market that the regulators must be addressing. What we find out in other jurisdictions, we shouldn't think that the financial industry is made up of angels. Therefore, those things cannot take place. We need to focus on what is disclosure is key. Transparency is key. I do not think that the level of interest that we are paying is commensurate with the fundamentals of the economy. There are other things that the regulators ought to look at.
Is there a way, as customers or as citizens, we could demand this?
Other people have demanded this in other jurisdictions, and it has worked perfectly. You heard about what happened to Stanchart in the UK, what happened to Barclays in the UK, and they are operating in other markets. That tells you that if the analysts in the market, the consumer, those who are consuming the product from the financial institutions are up to the task and they demand disclosure and transparency, with time we will get somewhere.
Right. Thank you very much, John, for joining us on Newsdesk. John Gachi is a financial analyst and lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School. We've been speaking Fitch's comments on the Bank of Ghana's latest measures to capture the depreciation of the Cedi. And, well, Cabinet says it remains committed to the implementation of a number of policies that would reduce import dependency, promote consumption of local produce, thereby addressing the current account imbalance. John has been saying if we are talking cutting down imports, it's not just consumables. Look at the construction industry, for instance. We should change the kind of things we use for construction, because we can use things like bamboo. And even within our own schools here in the country, we can find some new technologies to be able to cut down on the amount of clinker and the amount of foreign cement we use to build our homes, the amount of tiling we do. And well, hopefully, as Cabinet said, it remains committed to the implementation of these policies to reduce import dependency. They'll take into consideration some of the tips John Gachi shared with us here. And we are hoping that the commercial banks and the financial institutions would review their lending rates, or will price their loans appropriately. 200 basis points. Well, I'll leave my comments here. Thank you very much for staying through. But I have just a couple of your comments on this issue on the measures the Bank of Ghana has put in place to capture the depreciation of the Cedi. Sam Fiagba says that's short-term measure, long-term to increase our net export. Uncle's entry says it's senseless and useless venture. Uncles, I'm not sure, because the Cedi has been stable over some few days. Awuku Makafui Michael Kojo says, does Fitch want to manage the country for us? Everyone has an opinion on the issue. I believe the managers of the economy are doing their best to deal with the issue in a way that will benefit all of us. Let's all just give it time and stop sharing our candid opinion, because we're not sure how many of us would know what to do if we are in that position. And we will continue to say what we think. And we expect the economy managers to do more because we've been faced with this problem several years. Ocean Run Kwame Lasisi says a lot of youth are jobless and a few are enjoying. No matter how depression will exist, even if it do not. I don't get it, Ocean Run. But I'm happy you sent your comments all the same. I have to go now. I'll see you on News Today at midday. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of our programs. Thank you very much for staying through the hour. Goodbye.